Hey guys, just got back from UPS and finally picked up the Pixel 6, and I am super duper excited to unbox this for you guys. And yeah, I got the normal Pixel 6 in kinda coral, and I really want to see how good this phone can be for $599. And yeah, no fancy B-roll this time, cause I just want to share this special moment with you guys. Alright, so the box, yeah, it's a nice paper box, and they are using these little paper pull tabs, kinda like how Apple does them. So yeah, let's peel those away. All right, let's open this thing. Oh, slides out really easily. Oh my God, it looks so good. Holy crap, look at that. It's actually a lot less muted than I thought, and it's actually surprisingly light given that it was supposed to be 207 grams. But I guess this is a bigger phone than the iPhone 13 Pro, and that's why it doesn't feel as dense. But yeah, it looks really clean actually. Damn. Okay, let's put that aside for now. And inside the box, you get another USB-C to C cable, not the charger in the box though, and a USB-C to USB-A adapter, which I have like 5 of these thingies. And the other container, you just get your paperwork and you get a SIM ejector tool. All right, let's peel this thing. Let me see if I can hear it. Okay, that was not as satisfying, but yeah. It's actually quite a big phone. It kind of reminds me of like the Samsung Note 10, honestly speaking. It's actually quite thick too, like, look at this. It's quite thick. Oh. Feels really good in the hand though. It's like the edges are really smooth, and yeah. Well, let's turn this thing on. Oh, the display looks really good. The bezels aren't as thick as people say. I think it's okay. And this is the new Get Started screen on the Pixel 6. It actually is really cool because like every time this ball drops, I'm not sure if you can see it, it like sort of like vibrates the phone, kind of like a PlayStation controller. But anyways, I'm just gonna go set up this phone and then I'm gonna play with it for a few hours and then I'll give my first impressions. So I'll see you guys later tonight. Alright, I just spent 24 hours with this phone and I would say that it's actually been pretty decent. I actually had a pretty frustrating setup experience that took over 5 hours though because of Wi-Fi issues. What happened was that every time I finished setting up the phone, once it got past the setup screen, the phone would not be able to find or connect to any Wi-Fi networks. I restarted the phone and reset the phone a couple times too, but I really couldn't figure out what was wrong. I ended up discovering that it was actually an Android 12 bug in the setup process. So when you're setting up the phone and you're transferring data from an older phone, make sure not to transfer your saved Wi-Fi password because once you do that, the Wi-Fi will basically brick itself and you won't be able to use it. The phone also got concerningly hot during the setup, which really drained the battery and made this phone lag a little. I mean, this basically happens to every phone, but I just thought it was a little bit more obvious with this phone. The fingerprint sensor is also not particularly great as pointed out by other reviewers. It's a little on the slow side and does miss from time to time, but it's not a deal breaker at all. The battery life also wasn't great today, but that was mainly due to me installing apps the entire time. Anyways, once the setup portion is done with this phone, it's actually pretty good. I feel like the hardware is built pretty well, although there are some minor imperfections, such as being able to feel a bump between 2 sheets of glass on the camera bar, slightly rougher edges on the frame, and USB-C and speaker holes that aren't centered. I really love the clicky buttons on the side of the phone though. The phone is actually quite heavy as well, as it feels really thick in the hand because it's so boxy. It's almost kind of like the iPhone. The display I would say is pretty great as well. The bezel is definitely noticeable, but not as much as people say, and 90Hz still makes this phone feel really fluid and fast. I really liked how there was a feature in the settings to increase the touch sensitivity for screen protectors, as it definitely helped mitigate some touch delay with my screen protector. The flat display is also just great for typing. The only thing I didn't like about the display is the fact that it's a little dimmer than I would like, since it only maxes out at 500 nits. I'm not too sure how it performs outdoor in a sunny environment, but I can say that auto brightness is a pretty bad experience since it keeps on making the display way too dim. One thing I really do like about this phone are the haptics. I think they feel sharp, precise, and accurate. It's actually pretty crazy how much haptics contribute to the overall experience of the phone. And lastly, I was pretty disappointed at the speakers as I thought it was pretty quiet, but I do give it points for having a nice balanced sound. I still have to use and test it quite a bit, but I'll let you guys know in the full review. The rest of the experience is centered around Android 12, and it's a generally positive experience. I really love the new aesthetic appearance that Google has introduced with Material You. The design is pretty consistent throughout the UI, and definitely makes this phone more fun to use. I do wish that Google supported themed icons for third-party apps though. Hopefully they can introduce that in a future update. The new notification shade also got a complete revamp, and I honestly don't know if I like it yet. There's also a ton of settings that you guys should definitely go through to fine-tune to your likings. My problem with Android 12 is the lack of refinement. Similar to the iOS 15 release, Android 12 is just littered with bugs, stuttering, and freezes, which is quite disappointing. I'm hoping that Google can issue a fix quickly. The phone also just consistently feels warm all the time, which is quite annoying. One of my favorite features of Android 12 on this phone though is the new voice typing for Gboard.
It works really well and can pick up words even if I'm speaking really fast.
Auto punctuation is great most of the time as well, which definitely makes voice typing a faster method compared to typing on the keyboard. In fact, I typed this entire script using only my voice, and it saved me so much time that I'm definitely going to be using this feature in the future. And lastly, the cameras. Unfortunately, I didn't get much time to test the cameras for this video because of all those setup issues I had. I had to go out of town today, so I only took a few photos, but from what I can see, the photos are actually really great with incredible dynamic range and that classic pixel punchy look to them. Dave Tootie did mention that there isn't much of an improvement between this phone and previous Pixel devices for photos, and I actually do kind of agree to that, especially when compared to my Pixel 2 XL. The sensor does take in more light, which I definitely appreciate, and results in more detail in night mode. And as Aaron from Mr. Who is the Boss has said, what you see in the viewfinder when you take a photo of this phone is completely different from the finished processed photo. And from my limited testing of video in my room, it's honestly quite disappointing, especially when compared to an iPhone. The selfie camera on the regular 6 doesn't look amazing either, but should be pretty decent. I've also noticed this random massive lens flare when the sun hits the camera at like a certain angle, which definitely ruins the photos. But as I said, I didn't really have much time to play around with the camera, so definitely take my opinions with a grain of salt. I'll definitely be testing the cameras in depth for the full review, and I'll make sure to cover every feature I can. And that's basically it for my first impressions. It was honestly not such a great start of this phone, which did get me a little disappointed, but hopefully this phone redeems itself for the full review. It still seems like a great phone, and I wouldn't worry if you already bought one. There's also apparently a day 1 update rolling out on the 28th, which should hopefully fix some of the issues. And that's basically it for the video. Let me know down below if you have any questions for me and what type of content you would like to see for this Pixel 6. And definitely like this video if you liked it and subscribe for more awesome content. Alright, stay safe and I'll see you guys in the next one.